My name's Fiona Elliott and I'm Elio Moon Arts, and today we're going to take a look at creating our own chipboard. Looking at this, you wouldn't even know that this was hand created. Looks like I've just cut it out of something. So we're going to make our own chipboard and we're going to decorate them. I'm going to make some little charms. So this was made with a little bit of a rub-on sticker. This was just some pre-cut glitter flowers. Just made another little charm out of it. I made these slightly bigger ones and I thought these would all look lovely on a journal or even on a tag, you know, as a dangle on a tag. Just a few different ones that I created this morning. This one is a more grungier type. I just made these little clusters the other night after I made some flowers, and that was just a wax seal that I made yesterday as well. These ones with the transfers on them, I think they're really lovely. I've only put the transfer on one side. I haven't decided on whether I'm going to put anything else on these. And then there's this beautiful one also. So this has got like some pre-made roses and just some little sticky dots that I thought looked nice on there. So let's get a move on. Let's get started. So what we're going to need for this project today is I have got an old cat food piece of cardboard off the box that it all come into. I have sanded the shiny side because we will be gluing them back to back. The reason I've sanded it is so that it sticks better. It just gives it a slightly textured finish so that it'll stick together. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my little mini cutter and I'm going to cut these ones at 1 inch pieces. So I've already got some pre-done, but I'll just cut this one and I'll show you. So we get a piece like this. And then what I'm going to do, I wish I hadn't moved that. Just make sure I'm back in frame again. Okay, let's move this down here. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it to a length that I'd like for a charm. So I think about that length's nice. And I want 3 of these pieces together. So I'm just going to get this. I'm going to cut this one. You can use a Stanley knife or a craft knife. I think when I made the ones earlier I used this, but I just thought for ease I'm just going to use my scissors this time, and I'm just sort of butting them up together to make them reasonably even. So it's okay if they're not 100% even, but that's basically what I'm doing. So there we go. So that's the first step done. Other people that I've heard of that have done this, they've done it with 4 layers. I think you need to judge for yourself depending on the thickness of your packet. For me, using this cat food packet, 3 layers was more than enough. Now the glue that I'm going to use, you'll need a wet glue. Oops. I will be using Couture Creations Quick Dry Adhesive. Now the reason I'm using this one is not only because it dries reasonably quick, it also gives you a really good strong hold. Doesn't move too much, and also it means to say that I can move on with the project a lot quicker. So at this stage we're going to use the Quick Dry Adhesive. We will be using a few different glues in this project today. So now I'm just going to grab my glue. I'm going to put some on, but I'm only going to put it through the middle of our piece. I don't want to take it right out to the edge because I actually don't want it to spread. So I'm going to put the 2 outsides of the packets together. I'm just going to move them and level them up. As you can see, this is not 100% straight, and that's okay too. It'll be fixed up later on. Now I'm going to take my next piece and I'm just going to pop. I'm going to grab my full bottle of this so that it makes my life a little easier. Okay. So I'm just going to grab our last piece and I'm just going to put that through the centre like so. and I'm going to make sure that I've got this piece is going to be adhered to this other side, and I'm just going to pinch them together, and I'm going to put some of these clips on them. Just make sure you try and get them as straight as you can. Just move them around. I will be trimming these down a little bit once I'm done. So I've just put a little bit too much glue on there. As you can see, I've got it all over my hands again. I think I've washed my hands about 1,000,000 times this morning. So this should help just to keep all of those layers glued snugly together. So I just use these little clips. You could use these types of the bulldog clips and stuff as well, if you'd like. I like these. I just find them very handy. It's the best investment I ever made was buying these clips. So I'm just going to move them along. So now I'll let that dry. Once that's dry, which shouldn't take too long, because I've got to have one at that ready that's already been done. So we'll move on, and I'll make a couple more while we're waiting for that to dry. So I'm just going to grab one piece, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to cut it to where I think I might like it, what length I might like it. I think that looks pretty good. The other thing you're going to have to watch with these is that you are not going to be able to use one of this style of hole punch. It'll be way too thick for those, and you'll probably break it if you tried it. So me personally, I used my old leather punch that I've had for a very long time. It's real straight. It'll be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to make this one as well. So my hole, where is my leather punch? So I've got one of these. And this is what I used to actually punch the holes in my tags. Still takes a little bit of elbow grease. If you're one of these, if you're a lucky person and have one of those, the crocodiles, then you'll be able to use that without any problems at all. I don't have a crocodile at this stage. Eventually I'm going to get myself one. But until I do, I'll just be using some good old-fashioned muscle and a bit of and my leather punch. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing again. I've just put glue and glued them both together. You can see the tops of this is a little bit uneven. That's okay. We're going to sand this off later. So once we've done this, once we've glued all these together, we're going to need a sanding block. So this is my sanding block. It's the one I've used this morning. They're relatively cheap. I know you can pick them up at Bunnings, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that you may even be able to pick them up at one of the cheap shops. So just keep an eye out for some of those. Comes in very handy for quite a few things. I find them better to use than the emery boards. You know how sometimes in our work we'll cover things with paper and stuff, and then we'll want to tape it off? Well, these work really great for that. I don't remember how many grit this one is that I've got. Let's put that one up there, I think. That one there. And then one in the middle. So I'm still putting a little bit too much glue on there. It really isn't going to matter that much, because in the end, I'm going to sand down those sides once it's dry. So what I might do is I might take this first one and I might just dry it off. So I'm just going to pause the video for a moment, and when I come back I'll have this one dry. Okay, I'm back again now. This is dry, so I'm just going to take the clips off. And at this stage, if that still doesn't, it just looks like some cardboard that's been glued together. If you have a look, that's what it's looking like at the moment. You can see it's got a bit of an uneven edge here. So the next step is going to be, we're just going to get our, actually I'm going to trim this one so that I've got that even across there. Okay. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to around each edge. So when I'm doing it, I'm also making sure I come across the top and sort of just rounding those flat edges off a little bit. And then I'll come down this way, just the edge, and then just rounding off those edges on the other side. And you'll see how this one's not straight, so I'm just going to sand that a little bit further until I get it straight. And what's actually happening is that when I'm sanding it, all the little particles are actually filling in any gaps from the sanding process, and that is what makes it looks like it's a broad bit of chipboard. So this is taking off the bits of glue that were hanging out the side there as well. Just straightening up those edges. And now I'm just going to take it to the corners and just sort of round those corners off a little bit. You don't have to. You can keep your corners square if that's what you like. I actually like them rounded a little bit, so it just takes that sharpness away. So now basically we've got a piece of chipboard. So I'm just going to empty this off into my bin. Okay, so now we have our piece of chipboard. I like to have these pre-made, so I will have them sitting around like this, already pre-made and ready to go for whatever, and that way I can decorate them however I want. Sometimes I might just be wanting to do something, watching a bit of telly or something, and I'll want to make some of these. So my next step will be, you've got to decide on what size hole you want for yours. On these smaller ones, I've just given it a smaller hole. On the bigger ones, I've given it a bigger hole. So I'm just going to turn this one around because I want a bigger hole on this one. And you need a little bit of brute strength to get through this one. So I'm just going to try and line it up. I think that one was pretty good. Okay, so now we have our first charm. So now with that, where did I put that? Here it is. So I'm just going to get my distress ink, my little brown dauber, and I'm just going to ink up. So this one is walnut stain. I'm going to ink up both sides. That's just a personal preference. You don't have to. You could use a different colour altogether if you didn't like walnut stain or you don't like it dark and grungy. This is just a personal preference for me, and it's just nice to have that kind of base. It just saves me a bit of time sometimes, just to have it all sitting there ready to go. Now, to decorate these, you can do it in so many different ways. So this one that I did this morning, I've actually got some paper that I used some leftover paint on, and I used some of it, and I put some on the back side as well as on the front side, and I quite liked that look. So we might do that one to start off with. I've just got to decide on which one I want to use. I think I might use this one. So I need enough to carry, and I want it so that I can have sort of some scrappy edges, some torn edges. I don't want it to be all neat. So let's pull a bit off here. And now I don't get rid of these bits that I'm tearing off. I actually use them when I make clusters. So when I make things like this, I will use these bits in it. But I do really like to have my own if that works. Bring it all the way up. So all I'm doing is just ripping out a little bit around the hole. On the other side I've left a little space there, and that's all right as well. So, and I will sand off these edges once we get this stuck on there, once I get what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to grab my quick drying glue, Couture Creations quick dry glue, and we're going to start by sticking this one down, flip it over, just move that over a bit I think, and down. I'll have to poke that hole out. I'm just going to put a bit more on the other side. I think I'm just going to poke my hole out with this one. Decide I actually want the whole thing covered. That's all right. Okay, so I'll just let that dry for a few minutes. Oops, pulled that piece off. Let's put that piece back on. Okay, just need a little piece to go in there. So this was just some acrylic paint, by the way, that I used on this. I'm going to take that bit off and pop it there. Okay, so that's one done. So I'm going to have a look at this little one here. This one's ready to go and be decorated. So this one I just wanted to keep quite plain and simple. So I was thinking about just stamping on a letter. I wish I had some capitals, but I just have small letters here, so I might do an N. And I'm just using Stays On ink, as that is a permanent ink. It won't, not like the Distress Oxide. So I might do that. Just snap that off onto there. Okay. So now, with this one, I'm going to grab, oh, I haven't got it out at the moment. Liquid drops. These are a Couture Creations product as well, this one. I'm sure there's other ones. I think there's Art Nouveau and all sorts. And I don't know whether I want that or whether I want something. I might do this pink actually, this nice hot pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a little flower on here with these. Nothing fancy, just oops, that wasn't very good. I'll have to take that little bit off, I think. So it's as easy as that to take the stuff off. I'll just wipe it onto a bit of rubbish I've got underneath here. Okay, let's do that again. What I might do is I might have a different colour for the centre, so I might use this. No, I'm going to go with this. I've got this silver, I think it is. This is called Pewter. So Liquid Drops 3D Pearls. So basically the action is up, down, and that gives you your little lumpy bit. There you go, it's an up, down one, two up, down one. So I'm going to put two flowers on this side. Well, just to do some petals now. Put my finger on. Okay. I'm just going around and just giving it okay, there's one flower. And once this all dries, I might put a bit of wax over the top of it. Or I could spray it with some, there we go, what do they call it, a little bit of varnish of some sort to make it shine. I could do a gloss varnish or a, of course you did. Okay, it's still all right. Okay, so here is our little flower with a little N on it. I think that's really quite pretty. Once this one dries, I'll do the other side. So that's one charm done. I'm wanting to give you a couple of different ideas on how you can do the charms. Have I got any more small ones? Yes, here's another small one. Another small one. Another small one. So I've also grabbed out a couple of stamps that I thought I might like to use. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of washi tape. Okay, so this one says, I'm going to do it on this one actually. This one says handmade with love. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my washi tape and I'm just going to put that over the with love because it's not big enough to have the whole sentiment in one row. Let's cut that one quite long enough. And this should be enough to stop it from printing. So I'll get my stays on ink again. So this one will be handmade. Handmade. Now I'm just going to take my washi and I'm going to transfer it over to the other end. So now my handmade's covered up. I'm just going to use my with love. Oops. So on one side we're going to have handmade with love on it. It's pretty dry. That's pretty good. So this, I'll just put that over here. And I'm not worried that if I put this on here, that's pretty good anyway. And actually I might even take this little heart. I might even put this little heart over here in this one. Maybe up here. Yeah. Okay, so we've got handmade with love. And I'm just stamping off my little stamp. I'm going to come over to this side. And I've got to decide on what I want. I think I might have this flower. So I know I'm not going to need the whole length of this flower. So I'm going to go about here. Yep. I'm going to do another one about here. Another one up here. Okay. So now we have this little tag. Give me a second and I'll grab a ball pin. And we have another different styled little charm to hang off one of our pages or something in our journals that we create, or just to hang as a dangle onto something else. So that's another way to do this. I could also go with this and I could actually use the liquid drops and actually colour these in if I wanted to. You could colour them in with ink markers or whatever it is you would like to do if that's what you'd like. I'm quite happy to have it a little bit rustic like that. I don't mind that look at all. Okay, I'm just going to stamp these ones off. Yep, that one's fine. Okay, so let's get back to this one for a moment. This one's pretty dry now. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my sanding block. And I am using a fair bit of force on this. Okay, that's one side done. As you can see, it's actually ripped up a little bit of the acrylic off here because this is just some cheap paper that I done this off onto yesterday. but we're going to cover most of this up, so it's not going to make that much difference. Okay, so now we have move this off here for a minute and just clean off that bit of dust. So now I'm just going to go back around with my ink again, now that I've got that all, and just fix up these white spots. And so look, I'm not worried about that I've got a little bit missing on this side. It's not going to bother me at all. And I like the fact that it's a little bit more rustic doing it like this. To me, it's that whole grungy sort of look. But now I want to add some colour to it to give it a bit of pop. I'll just actually put a bit of onto that bit there too. And just make sure you pull off all your little bits. So now I'm going to grab my punch and I'm going to punch a hole if I can find my punch. I did have it here just a moment ago. There it is. Got a heap of things on my desk at the moment because I've been busy creating this morning. So I'm going to give this a bigger hole like I did with the last one. So just center it up. And there we go. So now we have another charm ready to go. So with this one, we've got, so where did I put that other piece that we were playing with before? And now it's here. Okay, so I've got this little snippet that I'd made. I'm not sure whether I want it on here or not. I'm just going to have a look. I don't really like that one that much. What would it look like with, oh, that's nice. That's pretty simple. Maybe if I wrap that around, do it on both sides. No, I don't like that one. I could go with these ones. Maybe that, no, don't like those ones together. Okay, let's have a look and see what else I've got. So because I've got quite a dark background, I would like something a little lighter so that it actually pops a little bit on the page. So I've got these glittered ones. And I've got some flat ones. Another glitter one down here. I don't mind that. These are too much with too many bigger ones on there. So let me have a look. So I'm just going to play with this until I get what I'm after. Actually, I quite like that, but I think I want them all glitter ones on there. And so this, okay, so I'm happy with that. I actually quite like that. And now I've got to decide on whether I want to put it on both sides. At this stage, I'm thinking I probably won't. But I'm happy with what's going on with that. So now I'm going to grab some of my all-purpose art glue from Couture Creations. And I'll start putting these ones together. If I can get it out of the container this morning. Okay, nothing in the tip there, nothing in the tip here. Let's go. Pop this back on. That's better. Now I'm not going to, well, I am going to apparently. I'm telling myself lies. I wasn't going to put it on every petal, but I think I will because I don't really want these ones moving. Whereas on some of my other ones, I didn't put it on every petal. I let it have that movement, but this one I don't think I want to. Oops. So Really should have grabbed my tweezers to do this. I'm going to put that one just on there, like so. And like these are great to use because they also are quite flat, and my junk journals always tend to be a little bit full. Okay, it's not wanting to come out of there today. Okay, let's have a look now. That's better. And we're just going to pop some on all of these little petals. And I am sort of overlaying it a little bit over the over this top flower that we've got there. Look, I could have. I was going to let you know too that I could have used this glue as well to put this paper on, but the reason that I didn't is because this glue does take a little bit longer to dry than the quick dry tacky. I think it's like a tacky glue. Okay, one on there. Put that on some. So I have that one there and that one there. Yep. Okay, so this one's nearly done, and I may add some more to this at a later stage. You can add lace and all sorts to these to pretty them up or to grunge them up, whichever way you want to go with it. So that's as simple as it gets with making your own chipboard. And I'm not sure whether, I presume we probably do have it here in Australia. Maybe it's known by a different name, but I'm not 100% sure. But quite often I hear other people talk, especially Americans, talking about chipboard and using chipboard. Well, I've never come across it, and I'm quite happy that I can make my own. It's not hard to do. With this one, I'm going to use a brighter pen. So now we have another little dangle. This one over here is now dry. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the other side of this one now. This pewter. One little spot there, one little spot there. So it's really an up-down action. So I just got it up to the tip, push down, and then pulled it up. And that'll give you a little pointy bit on it. And we have this. And so this colour was Flamingo. So same thing again, just some little lines. And I just turn my piece as I go so that I can reach. Do this side. Okay, there we go. So if you're new to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. I don't do things regularly, but I do try to do something every couple of weeks. This is my latest one that I'm working on. I'm also thinking about opening up an Etsy store to sell some of the things that I create, if anybody else is interested in that. If you've got any benefit out of this video, I'd really like you to leave a comment below. That would be awesome. That will also help my channel. And I just really appreciate you all being here. Thanks very much. You have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.